Turn heads and bring the hype with a custom hype chain from Lotwin. Perfect for youth sports, fantasy football, or just flexing your pride. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD for 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com, promo code TCCPOD for 10% off. Get your custom hype chain and get hype with Lotwin. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for June 16th, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is Tuesday. That means it's time for a little motivation / positivity, brought to you, as always, by the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network. Go to clashingconferences.com to see how you can get involved today. Check out their podcasts available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube, including the new members pod, in which I made a guest appearance on this week. All available wherever you get everything. All right, so this one is more of a story, and it's a story about two guys who were pretty much founding members of two of the biggest bands in the world, music history, whatever you want to say. Both of them were kicked out for various reasons. The first handled it and kind of went on a downward spiral a little bit, got his life together, but it was a hard thing for him. So he was able to rebuild himself, got married, had kids, still continued to play music throughout his life, called getting kicked out of this band the best thing that ever happened to him. Would it have been nice to have the fame and the fortune that went with the band he was kicked out of? Probably, but he called it the best thing. The other guy handled it a lot differently. Was kicked out of this band 20 years, almost 20 years after the first guy was. Took it hard. On the bus ride home, had time to reflect and vowed to build a bigger, louder, meaner band than the band that he was kicked out of. He used all of that rage, all of that anger to go on and build a pretty successful band. Now, who are these people? The first is Pete Best, who was kicked out of the Beatles. And the second is Dave Mustaine, who was kicked out of Metallica. Now, Best obviously worked out well for him. He was able to still play music, but got married, had kids, and kind of went this way. Mustaine created Megadeth. And you don't even have to be a heavy metal fan to know who Megadeth is. Both of them, very similar situations, kicked out of very successful bands, the Beatles and Metallica. One used that to kind of build back up. Did Megadeth ever get to the level of Metallica? Maybe not. Probably not, I should say. And obviously Pete Best, the Beatles were one of the biggest bands ever. But I guess the moral of this is, no matter what happens to you, you have a choice. While one of these guys chased what he lost, the other learned to love what he found. Two very opposite ways of dealing with it. But the bottom line is they both handled it the right way. They both ended up being successful. For Mustaine, obviously, Megadeth is considered, I think, when I was kind of researching for this, the big four heavy metal bands. Ended up, again, mending the bridges with Metallica, and everything was fine. But the key here is you have a choice on how you handle adversity. You have a choice on how you handle things. And what is the best way to handle it? That's up to you. We talk about learning from mistakes and growing and everything. Mustaine was like, damn it, I'm going to create a band that is louder, meaner, whatever, more than Metallica. Where Best is like, you know what? Went down his downward spiral, got himself together, and still ended up with a very successful life, wife, kids, all that other stuff. Still was able to play music. So it all comes down to how you handle it. Now, both of those guys could have spiraled out of control. and it ended up very differently for both of them. But through their determination and hard work, they were able to do what was best for them in each specific situation. So, to borrow another music line, it's like Black Sheep, the choice is yours. Make it count. And that is today's Tuesday motivation / positivity, brought to you by the Clashing Conferences. The story of Dave Mustaine and Pete Best, both handled getting kicked out of very big, and both of them were kicked out of the bands right before they were able to make it big. So that obviously adds to the sting a little bit. But bottom line is, you have a choice on how you handle things. There's no one size fits all way to handle it. Both of these guys handled it completely opposite. Both ended up being successful. So again, the choice is yours. Make it count. All right, on to the Philz. Good 7-0 win over the Marlins yesterday. Zach Wheeler was not sharp, I guess is a good way to put it, but he was efficient. Didn't give up any runs, but he just looked like he had to work to get to that outing. But 6 scoreless innings. JT hit a home run. Gabriel Ricones Jr. with his first career hit, which also was a home run. I really like this dude. And whether or not he turns into a good player or not, hopefully he does. But when we were at spring training last year, he was the guy that gave my Ella a ball. It was very nice. He was like, and he was going into, I guess, pregame to work out, whatever it was, but gave her a ball. So we like Gabriel here in our family. So congratulations on him on getting his first major league hit, which was a home run and a huge one. Trey Turner got hit late in the game on the wrist. Did not hear anything about the x-rays, but was pulled from the game. Likely won't play. Might not be a bad thing for Trey to sit out a few games and kind of get his head right. Brandon Marsh is officially 3rd in the outfield all-star voting, which is awesome. Of all of them, he deserves it. I'm usually not a big fan of the fan vote because you have Bryson Stott and Alec Boehm as the number 2 vote getters at their positions respectively. They're not all-star caliber this year, but to have Brandon Marsh in a loaded National League outfield be the 3rd, essentially right now he would be a starter. Fans are getting it right. They look to take the series tonight. Jesus Luzardo on the mound, and then they play the old business person special on Wednesday. All right. This story won't go away. It absolutely won't go away. And I saw this the other night, responded to it, and kind of just left it be. And then it was all over social media yesterday. It was all over the radio stations. And I'm going to give my take on it because I saw it when he posted it the other night, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And I usually don't mention guys by name. I'll mention Marcus Hayes because I think he's a hot take artist. Not a fan of Marcus, but that's okay. Mike Silsky put on Twitter, essentially, I'm going to summarize it here, but essentially called out and started lecturing Philly fans because of the great story that the Knicks winning the championship are and how it's bringing people of all races, colors, and creeds together. And if you don't like this story, you must not like sports. Let me tell you something, Mike. Why do I have to be happy for the Knicks winning the championship? Doesn't mean I'm a hater. They're not my favorite basketball team. In fact, they're a rival of my team. So why do I have to be happy for them? Why do I not have to like sports? Because I don't care. Am I going to root for the scumbags that were destroying buses and destroyed people's cabs, who that is their way of living? And I know it's not all of them. I'll be the first to stand up, and when Philly fans do something bad, it's not all Knicks fans. But in my experience as a sports fan, New York fans are some of the most smug and arrogant fans out there. So I'm supposed to feel sorry for them because they didn't win a championship in 50-some years in basketball. Not the other sports, just basketball. Their basketball team. And I'm supposed to be like, oh, this is a feel-good story. And you're happy for them? Hey, more power to you, but don't you dare get on your high horse and lecture me and tell me what I should feel and then insult me by saying I must not like sports if I'm not happy for them. They are a rival. I hate the New York Knicks. In fact, the fact that this team embarrassed the Sixers. Yes, now that's not a Knicks thing. That's more on Josh Harris and the management group at the time of the Sixers that constructed that roster. But these are the same people that come down to and take over our stadium. Again, that's probably more of a Josh Harris problem, but classy organization that chants F Embiid, all that. So I'm supposed to feel good about that. And I think again, I don't know whether he's doing this because he has a book coming out in the fall or what for the publicity, but I think he has Villanova ties. And I'm supposed to be happy that these guys from Villanova won. As I said before, I don't care. I'm a Temple guy. The Big Five is not what it once was, but in the heyday, there were rivalries among all of those teams. We don't like Villanova as Temple. Ask any St. Joe's fan. They don't like Villanova. It's just the way it goes. To say, oh, these guys, blah, blah. And the only one of them who was born and raised in Philly is Mikal Bridges. So, okay, they went to Nova. I mean, am I going to root for like a Temple guy? Like Tyler Manikevich played for the Steelers. Was I rooting for the Steelers? No. Like your logic is faulty, and you come off very preachy. And can I say congrats to them? Sure. Congrats on a great season. Can I respect them as a great team? Yes. I've said it. If you go back and check the tapes, I've been saying through this whole run, as much as it pains me to say, Jalen Brunson is a damn good player. Very clutch player. So I can do all that, but I don't have to be happy and feel good. This isn't Disney where it's like, oh, yay, the Knicks won. It's a dumb take from somebody who should know better. I was disappointed to see it because I listened to Sealski on the radio. I liked him, but way, way, way out of line with this. And you can say, oh, you're just jealous. Yeah, there is a certain bit of jealousy because, again, check the tape. I'm a huge Sixers fan. Of all of the teams right now in the city, the team I want to see win the next championship is the Sixers. I've seen the Eagles. I've seen the Phillies. Would it be nice for the Flyers? Yes. But for me, the Sixers winning a championship. So there's some tinge of jealousy there. Again, though, that doesn't mean I have to be happy for them. It doesn't mean I don't like sports. There's a lot of frustration in there with Josh Harris and all of it for putting this team together. To a certain point, Joel Embiid. And I know some of it's not his fault with the health, but there's frustration in that. Again, doesn't mean I have to be happy. Do you think the Mets in 2008 were happy that we won the World Series? No. They weren't saying, oh, it's such a feel-good story. I guarantee you to a person, New York fans weren't doing that. Do you think the New York Giants were happy in 2017 when we won the Super Bowl the first time? Oh, it's such a feel-good story. No. I saw them crashing out on social media. It didn't happen, Mike. It did not happen. Do you think Giants fans were equally like, oh, it's great, Saquon, our guy, won a Super Bowl in 2024? Again, no. I saw them crashing out. I saw them wishing an injury on Saquon Barkley the entire season. So, Mike, you're an idiot. Sorry, I like you, but maybe you're not an idiot. Your take is idiotic. It's an idiotic, uneducated, rage bait, and I thought you were better than that, but apparently you're not. And the last thing I'll say about this, the next team up in, I don't know the numbers for all sports because I'm sure there's teams that have gone longer, but the Dallas Cowboys have not won a Super Bowl since 1993, have not been to the NFC Championship game since 1993. If they get to the NFC Championship game and go to the Super Bowl and ultimately win it, Are we supposed to be like, oh, it's such a feel-good story for the Cowboys? I'll let you answer that because I know how I'm going to feel. And it's not going to be, oh, this is a feel-good story. I'm going to be sick to my stinking stomach. Almost made me drop the F-bomb, Mike. But I'm going to be sick to my stomach if the Cowboys ever win a Super Bowl. So you're way off base with this, tone deaf to the entire, and you deserve all the vitriol that you are getting on social media right now because it's an idiotic take based in I don't know what. But the fact that you're lecturing me saying I don't like sports because I'm not happy because one of my most hated rivals in the NBA won a championship. Why? Because they had 3 guys? Oh, well, Jay Wright's a nice guy. Jay Wright wasn't on the coaching staff. Dumb. Love to know your thoughts on that because it was, like I said, it was all over the radio, all over social media, and it really pissed me off. It pissed me off the other night when I saw Sealski write it. And like I said, he keeps doubling, tripling down on it and digging his heels in. And I don't know why. Again, is it rage baiting to get likes for your book? And if so, kudos, because here we are. There's people that are listening to this right now, probably didn't even know who you were, and now they're going to look you up. So I just gave you free publicity like a dumbass. But that's okay because you had a dumbass take. And as one of my favorite quotes that Jim Schwartz used to say about Niall Bradham, you keep doing dumbass things, people are going to start thinking you're a dumbass. So, Mike, you keep doubling, tripling down on this, people are going to think you're a dumbass. But it's a horrible take, a ridiculous take. And again, what's next? We're going to feel good for the Cowboys when they finally, if they finally ever break through? No. Stop. All right, on to the World Cup. I saw this the other night, too. Was passed around in one of my text chains. What are we doing? And I don't know if this is FIFA. I don't know if this is the city of Philadelphia or the teams. I'm not sure who owns nobody knows. Like, it's the greatest thing. But I know I'm in the wrong business. I should have bought land and built parking near the stadiums. They're charging $150 to park for the World Cup games. $600 if you have an RV. Now, they've already encouraged tailgating after saying they weren't going to do it. And if you've ever been to a tailgate, you know people bring in oversized vehicles to bring all their stuff down. $600 for oversized parking. What are we doing? Seriously, what are we doing? I get it's capitalism. I get that people are going to pay it, so why not? But come on. $150 to park a car to watch the World Cup soccer is just insane. What are we doing? That's my take on that. I don't know what the answer is because people are buying it. So it's one of those things like people say, oh, why they're charging this, that, and the other. Listen, people are paying it. I complain every year when I get the invoice for my season tickets, yet typing in my credit card and paying that bill. So I get it. More power to you. But come on, $150 to park? Sheesh. And last time I was down there, they haven't upkept it. There's potholes everywhere. So park at your own risk. The other World Cup story, and kind of funny, and it just goes to show, don't mess with the Rocky statue. I guess fans of Ecuador were down at the art museum and put Ecuador gear, I guess a scarf, and forget whether they put a jersey, whatever it is, they put Ecuador stuff on the Rocky statue, and then they immediately went out and lost to the Ivory Coast, making it, I think, 6-0 now. When a team comes in, messes with the Rocky statue, and then plays at the link, you always lose. So let this be a lesson to you. Don't mess with Rocky. All right, yesterday's trivia question. Who is the Phillies' career leader in steals of home plate? That would be Sherry McGee, who did it 20 times as a Philly. Some quick housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mott. And this is important because we're starting yesterday. Apparently, everybody agreed. If you were anti-Knicks, you agreed with the Wu-Tang take. If you were a Knicks fan, you agreed with it too, and you were like Wu-Tang forever. So enjoyed going back and forth with the people about Wu-Tang. But subscribe to the YouTube channel because that helps get those videos more in circulation, helps grow this thing. So even if you're not watching this on YouTube, just go over to YouTube, subscribe. It certainly helps me out. That and the other podcast, the Brotherly Birds Breakdown and the Philly Hall that I do as well. And then, of course, real quick, I want to correct something I said yesterday. I always try to make sure everything I give you is 100% factually, or at least 95% factually accurate. Andy Ashby, we talked about his immaculate inning yesterday. He did not have a brother who was better. He actually left the Phillies and got better and became one of the best pitchers. Came back, didn't do so well. So he didn't have a brother. It was the same guy. He just came back as a better, or allegedly came back as a better pitcher. So I always make sure and try to make sure it's accurate. But Andy Ashby did not have a brother who played in the major leagues. It was just the tale of two careers, I guess, for Andy. Reppin' Philly ain't a choice. It's a way of life. PhillyGoat.com is your one-stop shop for Philly pride. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off. Look fresh, stay Philly, Philly Goat. Go Birds. All right, June 16th. First, we're going back to 1979. Philz taking on the Reds at the Vet. Steve Carlton was excellent, went eight and a third innings, striking out 8. But in the bottom of the ninth, the game was tied at 3. Pete Rose comes up with no outs and the bases loaded. Got the game-winning RBI on the walk-off walk. Yes, Pete Rose, game-winning RBI on a walk in the bottom of the ninth. Philz beat the Reds 4-3 on this day. Kind of anticlimactic there, but they held on and won nonetheless. And then fast forward to 1986. And you want to know where my frustration with the Knicks comes from? It started on this day back in 1986, a franchise-altering day for the Sixers that you could make the argument they still have not recovered from. We talked a lot about the curse of Moses Malone. Well, this is where it got its start. Heading into the draft, which was June 17th, they made not one, but 2 moves that just were, looking at it now, were head scratchers. Even at the time, reading through the old newspaper clippings, not necessarily widely applauded moves. First move, they traded Moses Malone, the MVP, who 3 years earlier helped lead the Sixers to a championship, and Terry Catledge, who was the year before's first-round draft pick for the Sixers, along with the 21st pick in the 86 draft and a number 1 pick in 1988. So think about all that. That's what the Sixers traded to the Washington Bullets for Jeff Ruland, who injury-plagued Jeff Ruland, and Cliff Robinson. And again, we didn't even get the right Cliff Robinson. Not Uncle Cliffy, the one that we all grew up with watching in the NBA. We got the other Clifford Robinson. Bad enough. And then they followed that up with trading the first overall pick in the 1986 draft, which would have been Brad Daugherty. Imagine putting Brad Daugherty and Charles Barkley together in your front court in that NBA where big men mattered, for Roy Hinson, who didn't even play 2 full years with the Sixers. Could have had Brad Daugherty. Could have had Brad Daugherty learn to play the game under Moses Malone, a Hall of Famer, one of the 50 greatest players in NBA history. But no, you wanted Jeff Ruland, Clifford Robinson, and Roy Hinson. And you lose those picks. So, Mike Gansey, this is what you're dealing with here. Do something next week at the draft. Not like that. Do something positive. Maybe you could pull off one of those trades. Maybe you trade Joe and Kelly Oubre for like 2 good draft picks, a future Hall of Famer, greatest, like, I don't know. But that happened on this day in 1986. That's why Sixers fans are frustrated. And that's why I'm not happy that the Knicks won. Sue me, Mike Silsky. All right, fast forward then to 1998. Down 7-1, heading into the bottom of the ninth at the Vet versus the Pirates. The Bats decided to wake up. A couple of hits, a couple of walks, and an error led to Mike Lieberthal hitting the walk-off 3-run homer with 2 outs, giving the Phillies the 8-7 win over the Pirates. Tyler Green had a rough outing, but the bullpen held it down until the offense was able to provide the dramatic finish in walk-off fashion. And then fast forward to 2010, Phillies beat the Yankees 6-3 up at the new Yankee Stadium. Home runs were provided by Ryan Howard and Jason Worth. Shane Victorino with a 3-run triple. Jamie Moyer was on the mound that day, pitched 8 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, struck out 5. It was the 48th different stadium that he started a game in, breaking the major league record. Robinson Cano hit a home run off of Moyer in the second, making it the 42nd different home run that Jamie Moyer had given up a home run in. Also a major league record. So Phillies beat the Yankees, but Jamie Moyer pitched in his 48th different stadium and gave up a home run in his 42nd different stadium. And that leads us to today's trivia question. Jamie Moyer is the Major League Baseball leader with 522 home runs. Number 2, for you keeping score at home, is Jim Bunning. But who has hit the most home runs off of Jamie Moyer? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Who has the most career home runs off of Jamie Moyer? He's given up 522 of them, but who has the most? And get your any Philly sports thoughts, feelings, whatever, off your chest. Specifically, if you want to talk about Mike Silsky's tweet about the Knicks. And then 1 year later, Cliff Lee pitched a complete game shutout, giving up 2 hits, striking out 4 as the Phils beat the Marlins 3-0. Ryan Howard hit a home run, but Cliff Lee, not only was he masterful on the mound that day, he went 2 for 3 at the plate with a double and RBI as the Phillies win their 7th straight game. And then finally, in 2013, the final round of the U.S. Open at Marion, and it was a good one. Going into the final round, Phil Mickelson was 1 under, Hunter Mahon. I work with a teacher who, that is her last name, and it's Mahon. I think it's Hunter Mahone, though, because I was calling her Mahone, and she's like, it's Mahon. So if it's Hunter Mahon, I apologize. But either way, Charles Schwartzel and Steve Stricker were all even. Luke Donald, Billy Horschel, and Justin Rose were all 1 over. So all those guys were within 2 shots of the lead. Mickelson came out, double bogeyed the 3rd and the 5th, but then did eagle the 10th. Justin Rose got hot. He went birdie on 12 and 13, and then a bogey by Phil on the 12th gave Justin Rose the lead, and he did not give it up. Phil had a shot to tie it on 16, but missed his birdie putt. And it was Justin Rose shooting even par on the day to win his first major title. The disappointment for Phil Mickelson continued again as he ended up tied for second with Jason Day at 3 over. And then the U.S. Open will be back at Marion in 2030. So we got a couple more years, but the U.S. Open will be back. Something tells me Phil will not be playing, and if he is, he will not win. But Justin Rose wins the U.S. Open at Marion on this day in 2013. And then finally, our ultimate greatest Philly high school hoops figure tournament rolls on. Yesterday, it was a rout. Bo Kimball with 100% of the votes over Cam Reddish. And the tournament is brought to you by BeachCaddy.app. Let Beach Caddy take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. Go to beachcaddy.app if you're in Ocean City, Wildwood, Sea Isle, Stone Harbor, and Avalon. They'll move you in, move you out. Don't even have to worry about taking your stuff from the car. And then, of course, the best beach carts on the Jersey Shore. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. Beachcaddy.app. Take the stress out of your Jersey Shore vacation. All right, today we move to the Southwest region for an 8-9 matchup, and this one is intriguing. You got the 8 seed Gerald Henderson Jr. taking on the 9 seed Valerie Still. Let's start with Henderson. Played his high school ball at Episcopal Academy. Teamed up with Wayne Ellington. They won a state championship. But Henderson scored over 2,000 points in his career. He was a McDonald's All-American, second-team Parade All-American, and 2-time Gatorade Pennsylvania Player of the Year. And if that wasn't good enough, This just annoys me. He was a scratch golfer and was a champion in track and field as well. From there, he went to Duke, led the team in scoring his last year there. First team All ACC, won the ACC tournament championship. Third team All American, led him to be the 12th pick in the 2009 NBA draft. Had a solid 8-year NBA career, finishing up with the Sixers. And then Valerie's still one of my all-time favorite humans. She went to Camden High before transferring to Cherry Hill East for her senior year. Scored over 1,600 points at both schools. And if you average that together, over 25 points a game averaged in her high school career. She was a New Jersey State All-Star, and that all led her to the University of Kentucky, where she was a 2-time Kodak All-American, the all-time leading scorer and rebounder for both men's and women's hoops at Kentucky. Let that sink in for a minute. She won the SEC Tournament MVP, 2-time ABL champion, did get to play 1 year in the NBA. She was just a victim of the timing, was a star in the ABL, did get to appear, played 1 season in the WNBA. She's a basketball Hall of Famer. And now it's your turn. Who moves on? Gerald Henderson Jr. or Valerie Still? It's one of the best matchups we've had in this tournament so far. But hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531 or the Discord channel, which is in the description, or any of my social media. But Gerald Henderson Jr., Valerie Still, who moves on? Today's exciting matchup. On this day in 2013, Justin Rose wins the U.S. Open at Marion, shooting even par in the final round, overtaking Phil Mickelson. 2011, Cliff Lee had himself a day as the Phillies beat the Marlins 3-0. Jamie Moyer pitched in his 48th different stadium as the Phillies beat the Yankees 6-3 on this day in 2010. Phil's with an ultimate comeback against the Pirates, walking it off when Mike Lieberthal hit a 3-run shot in the bottom of the ninth in 1998. Franchise-altering day. They traded Moses and the number 1 pick and got a bunch of crap back for it, and the Sixers have not been the same since. And then Pete Rose with the walk-off walk in 1979 against his former team, the Reds. We'll be back tomorrow to update you on the Phillies as they look to take this series against the Marlins. Of course, anything else that comes up, I really hope I can stop talking about the Knicks. So, Silsky and anybody else, stop with the hot takes, please. I'm over it. I don't want to talk about it, and you're forcing me to talk about it. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't want to talk about it. Not happy about it. But I know. I don't like sports. I don't like sports. It's a joke. Remember, you have a choice on how you handle adversity. You could be like Pete Best and kind of love what you found, or you could be like Dave Mustaine and fight for what you love. Either way, do something. Don't let it get to you and spiral out of control. Luckily for both of those guys, they were able to make the best of their situation, and that's really the takeaway. So take that with you throughout your weeks today. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for June 16th, 2026. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.